They want status and power and a place above others. They want to be a bit exclusive. This obsession with place and power distracted them and made them miss or misunderstand, at least, this crucial information about God's action in the world. Jesus shows them a child, a classic symbol of the powerless, those without claim and without capacity to reward or repay. And this is who Jesus serves, the powerless, those without capacity to reward or repay. Serves the powerless himself because he believes in the truth of a loving and just God. And the only way to bring justice in our world is to somehow reach out in special ways to those who are suffering, to try to make just a situation that is unjust. This is not only a personal message, this is a message for the church or synagogue or mosque or temple of all religions today as well. And yet we still hear talk about who is first among the churches. I can tell you early on in my career, I realized that when you went to clergy meetings, you had to up your attendance figures a little bit. How many do you usually have over there at Chaffin? Well, last week we had 250. They were sitting so close together, they were using each other's handkerchiefs. The place was packed. The clergy member who bought a new car always came early so he could park right in front of the door, or she, so we could all see, ooh, so-and-so got a new, they must be doing well over there. It sounds funny sometimes, but it's not funny. And there are churches who proclaim that they're the ones with the truth. We've all heard this. And the religious right that we hear in our society is full of people who believe this. We are the ones who understand, and everybody else is goofy, is a fool. They have no grip on the truth of God. Who is the fastest growing church? Who is saving more souls? Who is financially secure? Who speaks with the power of truth? Who is best in God's eyes? Who speaks with such great authority that the world will sit up and take notice? Back in Chicago, I was secretary of the Lutheran Metropolitan Association of Churches, and there was one pastor who was very full of himself. And he bought very expensive clothes, and actually I found out later that he had the church buy his clothes. He would go to one of the best tailors in town, get these beautiful suits, always three-piece, wore an immaculate white collar as Lutherans do, and then he'd send the bill to the church. And they would say, ooh, pastor bought a new suit. We better pay for that right away. Unbelievable. And I thought, wow, this guy must be really something. And then I went to a funeral and I heard him preach. He stunk, to put it subtly. His preaching was deathly boring, unbelievable. But he spoke with great authority. The best thing about that funeral service, unfortunately, was his suit. This week, at Bible study, Neil gave me an article, and this is from the magazine The Futurist. And it's about the globalization of our society and religion's effect in the future. What can we expect? Now when we look around at religion, a lot of folks will not accept religion because they see it too much involved in bad things in our societies, in our world. And so this man who wrote this article, he said that he thought there were 3 scenarios possible in the future. One scenario was that we would become even more exclusive than we are now. So everybody would back up and tighten up in their corner, and you can see churches doing that. Many times I get calls from people, well, I wanted to have my child baptized at this church. They said, oh no, you don't belong here. No, we can't baptize that baby. The water will turn black or something. Or we wanted to be married over at that church because my grandmother went to that church or something like that. And the pastor says, oh no, we don't marry outsiders. We don't marry outsiders. You know, I just didn't ever think there were any outsiders. There are new people, but they're not outsiders. So one scenario is that this exclusivism continues. As the world gets more dangerous, people circle the wagons more. The second scenario is what he calls pluralism, and that's where people accept other people, but they don't concentrate on the differences. But they're not really all together, even though they share some common values. They're really not all together in their actions in the world. So that's the pluralistic. And then the last one is the inclusive scenario. And let me read you what he says. These folks recognized that they stood on common ethical ground in their collective commitment to the values of compassion, mercy, love, kindness, and justice, among others. But they wanted more. They searched for ways to stretch the boundaries of inclusivism beyond ethics and into the domain of divergent worldviews. This was no easy task, but in the end it began to show visible results. They sought to weave together their many truths into an integrated worldview tapestry of greater truth with a capital T. They were adamant in their commitment not to freeze their combined vision into a final version of the truth, but instead to see it merely as a platform to the continuing discovery of greater truths. The continuing discovery of greater truths. It goes back to the time when we are children. When you were a child, this was your destiny. Along the way, you were going to discover greater truths about life. You were going to come to understanding that as a child you could never express, never understand. And if you were nurtured and believed in by those around you, there was no end to what you could discover. Truths of the world, leading you into various vocations. And when you were even a teenager, you thought the world had all possibilities and everything that I want to do is possible for me. And you didn't close up. And you didn't let fear take over. And if we pay attention to the future, we think, when we are young, there is no stopping us. The truth is, it should be that way for us now, today. See, the possibilities that God brings come unless we choose to stop them. We choose to close up. We choose to try to be exclusive in some way to prop up our own feelings about ourselves. And by fear or greed or meanness or exclusiveness, we cut off our continuing relationship with a God who is always surprising and always bringing forth new truth. Our world desperately needs this new relationship, and our world desperately needs all the good things that God offers as we discover new truths. Amen. Will you rise, please, and receive the benediction? Finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is lovely, whatever is gracious, if there is any excellence, anything worthy of praise, think about these things. And what you have learned and received and heard, now do. And the God of peace be with us always. Amen.